pathway of tradition. In the Estolian dream, Zachariah's connection, where all our trust reigns supreme. All of our fears defeated, where benefits tremendous. Loneliness has retreated, happiness will surround us.
Emily. I do not think that a day goes by when I do not think about her. Her smile was liquid sunshine, her laughter was bottled happiness. Everything about her was precious in so many ways. I could never, were I to try to describe them all, finish. I have written about her every day in my inscrito as I work my way through this life. The deepest irony for me has always been the words of my Bendelora. I was told then that my lifespan would be longer than most Estolians, and that I would not only enjoy the turn of the century, but that I would realize one day that there were fewer years until the next one than had already passed. At the time, I looked forward to all those years spent with my Emily. How was I to know that those years would be childless? When she spurned me and turned away from me, I thought I would die from the pain of it. I did not seek any other woman to be my Kaylee. I planned to live in solitude. At my mother's urging, I did look around to try to find someone with which to spend my life, but the desire to bed a woman indeed dissipates if a man does not marry by the age of 31. I have lived a celibate life since then. It is only in the last few years that I finally found peace within. When I learned that Emily, sweet, wonderful Emily, knew she would not live long, and loved me too much too, as she thought, condemn me to a short life, and negate my blessing, I can only hope that she will be waiting for me, there in Torrizon, when I am finally able to slough off this body, and discover the vibrance of my inner self, made whole in the life after this life. Jonathan Chauveau, Inscrito.
Zeke's thoughts now returned to the present. Catherine seemed to accept the information she was given with a deep level of peace. He thought it strange that she was more at peace with what they learned than he was, when she was the one who would actively yield up her soul, and he was the one who would be taking instead of giving. Only the current and former keepers of the soul of Estolia knew what it was like to keep the soul of his wife. Each keeper was given that blessing and that burden. He knew now, beyond all doubt, that this was his destiny and had been from before he was born. The trials in his life only made him stronger for this moment. 2 years ago, when his brother, Isaiah, almost insisted he exercise the office of last resort, a year ago when he suffered the crippling injury just before his 30th birthday, a month ago, as he was forced to listen to Joseph Davolo's insane ramblings of half-understood concepts he learned in his truncated time as acolyte, and just a week ago, the true trial he and every Estolian man felt at the time he yielded up his soul. Every single event in his life brought him to this point in time, this place in time. His life up until now prepared him for a most monumental capitulo. Catherine came to stand beside him. She was wearing a ceremonial red robe that she would only ever wear twice, during today's ceremony, and as her burial garment. Georgiana had given it to her yesterday and explained its significance. The red of her robe symbolized the blood of Estolia and embodied the place of women in their culture. Just as each individual had body, self, and soul, the nation had a trio of essential elements. The soul of Estolia was their faith and was the most critical element. The body of Estolia was the king and the island. The blood of Estolia, the women, gave it life. Estolia could not exist or survive without women. Catherine's robe symbolized that essential element. It was something he could never forget. Zeke felt complete as he took Catherine's hand and led her out of their chamber. They had only a short distance from the seclusion suite to reach the ceremony room. Together, wearing their robes, they went to the dais. His brother, uncle, and father were all waiting for their arrival. He now knew what it meant to be one of the Strelleran of Estolia. Together they had an undefinable but very real synergistic power that any one man alone could neither have nor harness. He saw that his cousin Gregoria was also there, clearly grateful that he would not be required to take on the soul of Estolia. They approached the dais, kneeling on the embroidered pillows set out for them. Georgiana entered the ceremony room and approached them, coming to stand just behind and between them, her right hand on his shoulder, the stump of her left arm resting on Catherine's. Theo came to stand in front of them, opposite his ceilidh. Traditionally, the events surrounding the heir apparent, from the time he chose his last resort, to the coronation, were of great interest to the citizens of Estolia. Most of those events took place in the cathedral that stood between Mount Estoliana and Mount Zacharias. Events associated with the keeper were generally not the focus of much attention. They were most important to the members of the royal family, and to those who spent their days in the temple. Theo addressed those who had assembled to witness the event. He focused primarily on the acolytes and elders, but his words were also for Georgiana and other key individuals in the ceremony room. When he was done speaking, his hands settled on top of Georgiana's hand on one side, her arm on the other. Zeke felt a flood of something indescribably sweet rushing through his system, while Kaderin cried out as if in pain, and Zeke understood what it felt like to take another's soul into his keeping. He knew now that without her, he could never have become the keeper. The exchange was just and right and critical. She held his soul but yielded her own up to him, and with it, he took on the burden of the soul of Estolia. It was clear now why Kaderin truly was the most powerful person in the entire nation. Her face was wet with her tears of loss when he finally got to his feet. He was so grateful for her. He saw comprehension on her face, the realization of her role in Estolia. Once they were standing, Zeke swiftly closed the distance between them, gifting Kaderin with the same sense of reassurance that he felt when he came into contact with her, and with his soul. They were one in body, self, and soul, together having the strength to withstand the 30 years or more he would spend as keeper until he passed on the mantle to Isaiah's second son. The joy they felt was far more than anything given to others, a blessing commensurate with the sacrifices they would make in the service of Estolia.
Pathway of tradition in the Estolian dream, Zachariah's connection, where all our trust reigns supreme. In the maelstrom of modern distractions, with the mad chaos of corporate greed, Estolians' marital benefits, two souls entwined, two futures combined. The pathway of tradition in the Estolian dream, Zachariah's connection, where all our trust reigns supreme.